Hi, so it's been a bit of a while since I've spoken to you. I'm sorry about that, but I've been going through quite a few things. On the plus side, you get a nice long vlog about me talking about all of the things that I've been going through. So I know what you're all thinking first off. What the hell is that? Yes, I've got a wig. I'll get to it later, don't worry. So, where should I start? So yeah, last time we spoke, I was very depressed. I was just starting to get there. Things actually got an awful lot worse. So I started off with this whole thing of just being depressed and not really being able to. So unfortunately, things didn't get much better after that. In fact, things got an awful lot worse. The amount of hair that I was losing was getting dramatically worse, an awful lot quicker. There's some pictures that I did on Twitter which sort of show how things went. Things haven't got a lot worse since then, but that first week and a half, things got very bad very quickly. And so I got very worried about the fact that I was losing huge chunks of my hair. And that was definitely giving me a whole lot of pressure. And then, even though part of me thinking, this is probably mostly down to stress, it doesn't really calm you down to think, oh my god, I'm losing all of my hair, I have to relax very quickly. It just doesn't work very well. And I can't remember if I said this last time, but part of me has always sort of said, when I was growing out my hair in the first place, it was at some point I won't have any hair and I'll wear wigs, so I kind of came to terms with that. And then I started losing hair in other places. A few places it wasn't a huge issue, but the one that really affected me was the fact that one of my eyebrows is missing. Look! Yeah, I don't like this at all. So, because it really made me realise that eyebrows are really important hair. Like anywhere else on my body I was lacking hair, I was fine with, because I could shave around it and it was acceptable. People not having eyebrows is just freaky. And I really like, people say that the eyes are the doorway to the soul. But the reality is that eyes, we actually have relatively little control over. The real thing that happens are those little twitches that happen here and in the eyebrows. And so I would say that the eyebrows are how we express ourselves. And, to suddenly say, hey, the way that you express yourself, that's all going to be a whole lot less defined now. I mean, they also do a job of stopping sweats dropping down into your... Ah, good. Even my wig is losing hair. They even do a job of stopping sweat coming down straight down into your face, and that's an important job that just drawing them on won't do. And yeah, so that completely freaked me out. And so as soon as I realised that, I really went into not just low on depression scales, but sort of towards the lowest, if not at the lowest point that I've ever been. There are only 2 times I've got to that point, and this was the second, so that's a pretty significant thing. And it was one of those moments where I can't remember what it's like to be happy. I don't even know what happiness is. It all goes, and I'm just alone in that bad feeling and can't have anything else in. And that all happened within the week that I last spoke to you, over the weekend after I last spoke to you. So that was the starting point. I'll take a moment out to mention this. Last time I felt this, I was in a particular situation. Best I can say is that it's the only time in my life I've actually been bullied. It was at a job I was doing, but I was only doing it for a month, and I was already halfway through that month, and therefore, I was halfway through, so at that time at least I only have a week left of this situation, and then things will change. And because I knew I only had that week left, there was... Hope is perhaps too strong a word, but it is that feeling that things will change. It's not permanent. I knew it wasn't permanent. And I think the big difference this time was that I didn't have that same comforting feeling. This time I wasn't in as bad a state, but I couldn't see what was going to change. I couldn't see how I was going to break out of this situation where I couldn't be happy. You know, almost got kissed by a Dementor. And it's awful. And the way I got through this one was by phoning my sister. And even though it was sort of 1 o'clock in the morning, she did a very nice job of talking me down and helping me out. It's also particularly nice that Andrew O'Neill tweeted me, which was a nice callback, because the last time I felt this bad, I was up during the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and because I phoned my dad that time, years ago when it last happened, and my dad got Andrew O'Neill, who's my favourite stand-up comedian, to come and look after me. So maybe that's just one of those small things that perhaps other people would claim as echoes of their father looking out for them or something, but that meant something to me. So I just about managed to survive that. Then finally got to talk to a doctor about being depressed. Let's go with a funny story about that. So I had 2 appointments that day. I had an appointment to talk about someone about depression, and an appointment to talk to someone about my hair loss. I accidentally missed one of the times, so ended up talking to my skin specialist about depression and then missing my skin specialist. So that was then and then to rebook with the skin specialist took about another week. So that didn't exactly calm me down. But I did manage to speak to the doctor about getting some antidepressants. I got put on some antidepressants, and at first they really seemed to do a good job of making me happy. I mostly attribute this to something called the placebo effect, because I know that it's supposed to take several weeks before they take any effect. But, I'll take a placebo effect saving as much as a medical one. So that's the situation that I started off with. I did find they make me incredibly tired, that I'm a person who can live quite happily on 5 hours of sleep. So long as I get sort of 1 lay in a week, 5 hours a night will do me fine. Anything less than that and I don't really work properly. Now I'm suddenly going sort of, needing 12 hours just to be awake during the day. And if I don't take those 12 hours, I just end up sort of being a walking zombie. The thing that I'm worried about is that the drugs have not worked the way that I thought they were going to be. One of my big problems is that I just don't do enough. I find it really hard to do things that are productive, even small things like take out the rubbish, to big things like making videos and editing and doing the bits of the business that I need to do. And I find this all very tricky, and I find that I need to really work up to it, and often I just don't feel up to it. And what this seems to have done is made me happier so far as I'm less sad, but at the same time it's just not helped that part. And I've become that person who I always really hate as a depressive to myself. Suddenly I'm there going, come on, why don't you just do that? And my body just going, no. And as such, and I think almost because of this, I've become a lot more dependent on my bed. I know it sounds weird, but I wasn't always a huge I can't get out of bed type person. But I seem to have acquired that. I think it's because if my brain says, let's go to bed, then my body says, oh yes, I can do that. Whereas when it says, let's go do anything else, my body's fighting it, and that's just not something that I'm used to. I'm used to them being in sync, and so the fact that they're not in sync is causing me as much discomfort as anything else. Admittedly, I've just kind of been waiting to see how things are going and just trying to calm down, and haven't necessarily been pushing myself too hard on these things, But that has its own problems because now I'm there going, oh, but I'm not doing anything, and I like doing things. That's what makes me happy. But in addition to that, I also... So those of you who follow my Twitter feed, which I guess is probably most, if not all of you, I have a lot more Twitter followers than subscribers. Anyway, you will know that every now and then I wrap myself up in a blanket and try and find a small hole and cocoon myself up. And the thing is that some of that is an emotional, I want to shut the world outside, and there really is a try and get into a small place so that I'm small and insignificant, and not so much necessarily just protect myself, but also sort of protect the world from me. And yeah, it's not... I mean, there's a level of me that... I mean, I very rarely cocoon myself on my bed because, you know, part of me is there saying... Not necessarily a conscious part, but part of me doesn't feel right in that situation because it's like, you know, do I deserve to be comfortable on a mattress? You know, that small bit at the bottom of the bed where there's no space and you can be tiny and cramped, that's more appropriate. It's not good. I know some of you are going to write in the comments, oh, it's great, and I know that that's not the situation, but emotionally I'm now not in a situation where I want to do that, but physically my body still wants to do that, and so again I'm ending up stuck in bed in an awkward way. I will say that I was on the drug for 3 weeks, and now for the last week I've had an increased dosage, double dosage. Very RPG really, isn't it? You know, the potion isn't working, use the high potion. I'm sure the mega potion comes next. But anyway, yes, so I got the drug, and at first it was sort of doing that, and I didn't know what it was doing. I was trying to work it out, and really didn't do much, but also didn't do great stuff. And now in this last week, it's definitely stabilised me out a bit more, but I've very much come to that conclusion that I can't spend the rest of my life in bed. I need to not do that, but I also need to take things at a comfortable pace, because I'm losing all of my hair and oh my god, my hair's... Hide the eyebrow, hide the eyebrow. Hide the eyebrow. Yeah. No, it didn't work. Oh, that's even worse. Let's talk about the wig. I've got a wig. It might be weird for you, but this is actually what I used to have as a teenager. I had hair like this. I call it the Luke Skywalker cut. It was a slightly lighter brown, just like I used to have. I like a fringe. I don't know why. I just don't like the big forehead. I don't know how much I'm going to keep this on over the next few days. I know I'm obviously going to VidCon and Summer in the City, and I feel I've massively established myself as a guy with a ponytail in a cowboy hat. So I think that I will keep that going for those two particular events, and maybe alternate. The hat, just like this, does quite a good job of covering up my top of my head, which hides the eyebrows and things. I have another solution, which you will be seeing very soon. It came in the post today. I'm quite interested to know how it works. But that might be over the next few days. I have a new video that I want to do where I'm going to do a test, because I got a new style that I want to try out. And if this test works, that could be my new style for scripted video. So it won't be for the stuff on here. It's a test that will air on here for things on the main channel. But I digress. Where were we? Mental breakdown. Got to the doctors. I got a wig because it covered up my hair, and then it was nice because it then covered up my eyebrows, which makes me a little bit less self-conscious, which is nice. But yeah, mental breakdown. Got here, antidepressants, sofa? Bed. think we've mostly come to the end. That's kind of been what I've been doing. I'm trying to get back to a place where I can perhaps survive in this and try and refight things. Oh yeah, I had a psychologist that the NHS are paying for me, and I mean, I haven't actually spoken to them properly. I had a phone call. It's supposed to take 20 minutes. I ended up talking about myself for an hour. Anyone would think I did it for a living. I think I even tweeted that joke. I'm sorry if you get tweeter jokes over and over again. It's just a bit one-track pony. I used to find this is really weird. Every now and then when I speak to someone who actually watches my videos, which isn't that true. That common. Dan's friends, on the odd occasion he has one, they seem to always watch all of his videos and then know all of our stuff. But every now and then I've been in a conversation with someone telling them a story from my life, and I see that glazed look over their face as if I've told them that story before, and then I realise that I mentioned it in a podcast or tubecast or something, and go, oh, you've heard this story, I just didn't tell it to you. That's always a weird one. I mean, it's fine, but yeah. So, yes, that's me. I'm struggling to get out of bed at the moment. Just doing this was a huge struggle and achievement. But I'm really trying to move forward. And I appreciate that you guys are all there, and I'm sorry that I keep being this sort of negative person. You would be surprised how many times I get this close to deleting all of my Twitter accounts and my YouTube accounts to save you from having to listen to me drivel on. So yeah, the reason I'm here is because I looked back over the comments, and partially it's for me, and then partially I just wanted to keep you up to date because I know that you guys care. And I appreciate the fact that you are the Fanarians and that you care about me. And so yeah, thank you very much for that. Say hi in the comments, I'll try and get back to them. And I'm going to start working on the new video. Ah! Here's a funny thing of me and Dan where we cocked up. Oh, that's better.
Yeah. Why am singing?
Yeah, that's going to be the end now, isn't it?